So when my family searched for me, and it reached a moment, because it was not easy, I had nothing to eat, I had left my business, I did not go there, all my money that I invested just perished, because they were all saying, this is the reason why I created you, not the other one. I started obeying, because even the experience I had gone through. So I lived outside the house, because even the tent that they had given me, time reached when I had no money to pay it. Then I decided to move out of the tent and go camp in the forest. Then many years and many months, I lived outside the house, not inside the house, in the forest. And I had no person I knew. The only friends I got were the insects that were in the forest. But I tell you, God is amazing. I have the experience living in the forest life. It's a great experience that the Lord taught me a lot of things. And from that moment, I loved nature. I loved nature. I loved the insects and all, because it reached a moment that I even lost, when you sleep outside, and you don't sleep in the house, but you sleep outside for a long time, you lose the smell of humanity. You lose that smell that some insects cannot detect, that there is a human being here. Or this is like snakes. Snakes always, they detect that something is there is a human being. So because I was living outside, it reached a moment when they could not detect that I'm there. So I remember one day, because I was praying through the night, because the night I could come out of the forest, come to the campfire where there was light, and I could pray through the night. So one day I went praying in the night, and in the morning I went back in my forest. One day I was resting, sleeping, and I was in the dream. And in this dream, I dreamt when the voice was telling me to push my two legs, to push them. And in the dream, they physically, the voice happened physically, that that the force pushed my legs up. In the dream, yeah. In the dream, I was dreaming like the voice was saying, push your legs, but physically it was happening. And when I pushed, I felt something heavy over my legs. And to open my eyes like this, there was a big snake, a cobra, coiled over my feet. And I shook it off, because in the dream the voice spoke, but physically the force pushed me, because the snake was over my leg physically. And when I pushed it, it dropped down there. It was black in color, and black in color. And I was shaking. Then I picked a small stone, and the voice spoke to me. I said, Israel, I am your protection. I am God with you. You are my son, I love you. Nothing will harm you, because I love you, but I am your protection. From that time, I ceased from fearing. From that time on, many times I was in the forest, sitting down, praying, and behind me, something is happening, and I could just hear a voice, Israel, look behind. By the time I look behind, I see a big snake just in my direction. It could not detect that I'm seated there, because I was sleeping outside and I had lost the smell that they can detect. And I just wake up and say, snake. Sometimes I leave them. Sometimes I just get a stick and hit it. And that happened to me many times. So insects became my friend. That was the time when I had the experiences with spiders, and I know many of the spiders. And sometimes I could just be walking on the way, and I detect quickly that there is a snake besides me. And true, it was there. And after that time, when I was with people, even with my wife, sometimes they say, but you, as you're walking in the forest, every time your eyes are looking there, because the time I spent in the forest, I understood many things about insects. And now, many insects, when they make sound, I know them. And if they make any sound, I know what is. Maybe it's a sound for help. Maybe something we can
understand that what it.
Yeah, some of the language. I understand. We can be working together, and you just see me doing something, maybe. But for you, don't care. But for me, I've seen an insect maybe is trapped, and I just help it to go out of the trap. So it became part of me when I was in the forest. So it became part of the experience. So it took me like 5 to 6 years when I was in the forest, and I reached a moment when I was tired of living in the jungle because I had no food to eat, and there are small fruits, very, very, very tiny. I don't know how they call it in English, but it's a fruit it's a bunch of fruit, tiny fruits that are in the forest. Sometimes the monkeys eat a lot of those fruits. Sometimes when I cried to God that I needed something to eat, He could show me that small tree. Say, go. I could gather them in abundance and I put them in my down, and they started eating. I tell you, God is amazing. Every time I cried for Him, God, I need something to eat, and He showed me such fruits. They are not so that they are tasting sweet. No, they are not tasting sweet. I just ate for survival, and it's because that He showed me to go and eat. But what amazed me is every time I could gather them and sit down to eat, I could hear a voice of joy with my God, like somebody laughing, like ha 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 ha, my son, and I could look and say, no, I'm suffering. You are laughing because I'm eating this. But that was the food, and it could be for the day, and it was not that it could make me satisfied, but that was the food He had prepared for me to eat that day. Sometimes I could get jackfruit. I don't know whether you know jackfruit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a fruit that is found on the tree. Sometimes I could get jackfruit, and when I get a jackfruit, was a miracle. So I lived a life. Sometimes I'm walking on the way and I find a cassava stem. I just pick it, or one avocado, and I just eat for the day. Avocado, you know? No. Avocado, I don't know, it's a fruit. So I survived.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I have it.
Avocado.
Avocado, yeah, I know.
So it was my life. Sometimes, because I did not have money, I could pass by restaurants and could see people eating, enjoying themselves, and I could sit beside the restaurant and say, God, touch that person. Maybe He gives me something to eat. Sometimes if people have eaten food and just left as leftover, I could just go where they have dropped it and pick it and eat. Sometimes the Lord says, leave, go back in your forest. And I go, have nothing to eat. I say, God, you know, I just believe. And amazingly, sometimes late in the night, like around 11, around 10, around midnight, I see somebody coming with a plate of food. I say, God has commanded somebody to look for me in the forest, to bring for me food. So it was a miraculous way that God really intervened in my life. I remember sometimes when it could be a day I knew that I had nothing to eat, and God speaks to me that, Israel, today I want you to fast. Then I said, God, you want me to fast? Even I don't have food to eat. I'm fasting. And then you are telling me to fast? Then He said, no, I want you to fast. And in the morning, somehow, I get a cup of dry tea. The water with tea leaves. And sitting down to take it. Amazingly, I was sitting under a tree. This happened to me 3 days consistently when God had commanded me to fast and I refused to fast. So when I was sitting down under a tree, saying, God, I thank you for this dry tea, because that's what I had got that day. Very early in the morning, sitting ready to take it, The bird is just up there, and the bird makes poo-poo, and it drops its poo-poo inside of my tea. Then I could quarrel and chase away the bird. So I said, this is the only thing I had to take. And they all said, I told you to fast. You refused. Then next day, it's the same thing. God said, Israel, you have to fast. I said, no, I get some dry tea. I want to warm myself. The same day I see it. I don't realize and forget that even yesterday something happened. The bird does the same thing in the morning. For 3 days, I was, that experience every time when I remember it, I say, God, you are so real. You are so real. If you decide to move in somebody's life, you are so real. It's we people who are, who don't want to have that experience, but God always wants to move in our day-to-day lifestyle.